military criticism. I have a lot of. Oh, look. There was the DPA one. It was well, it's still the sport club. That's a sport club destroyed by the rainings. Well, I will just keep reading the Pepe Escobar article. Well, the Pepe Escobar article says well, I lost myself in the article. That was the article, The Summer of Living Dangerously. Maybe he's referring to everybody. As I read a little bit, he's referring to everyone in the world because there's too much danger. So Foreign Minister Lavrov stresses 3 key points. 1. The countries of the global south no longer want to be dependent on the double standards of the West and its whims. 2. Everyone knows that the BRICS countries already serve as the locomotive of the world economy. 3. We, at the BRICS Foreign Minister meeting, stressed the need for consistent efforts to create a new world order. Where the equality of independent states will be the key. Now compare it with the shrinking G7 meeting later this week in Puglia, in southern Italy. The same old song from a tough new warming. The Chinese banks don't do business with Russia or else. To vociferous threats against the China-Russia strategic partnership. And last but not least, extra plotting to scheme interests from the massive frozen stolen Russian assets with the intent of sending the country 404. The toxic Medusa itself announced that the country 404 will receive 1.5 billion euros of the income from stolen Russian assets from the EU in July. 90% of it to buy weapons. It's a game day here in Valparaiso. That's why that's why there's cars parking in the park. But anyway, as for U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Kurt Campbell, the man who invented the defunct pivot to Asia during Harvey Hillary Clinton's tenure in the early 2010s, he had already advanced that Washington will sanction Chinese companies and banks over Beijing's relations with Russia's military-industrial complex. False flags and protest symmetry. False flags and perfect symmetry. By several metrics, Europe is about to explode, not with a bang, but an agonizing whimper anytime within the next few months. It's crucial to remember. It's crucial to remember that the snap elections in France and Britain will also coincide with the NATO summit on July 11, where Russophobia fueled harmongering will reach paroxysms. Among possible scenarios, some kind of false flag to be squarely blamed on Russia should be expected. It could be a Franz Ferdinand moment, a Gulf of Tonkin moment, or even a US Maine before the American-Spanish War moment. The fact remains that the only way these leaders across NATO stand, plus their lowly MI6 agent in a green sweaty shirt in Kiev, will survive is by manufacturing a casus belli. If indeed what that happens, a date can be advanced between the second week of July and the end of August, and certainly no later than the second week of September. October will be too late, too close to the US elections. So be prepared for the summer of living dangerously. Meanwhile, the bear is not exactly hibernating. President Putin, before and during the St. Petersburg Forum, elaborated on how symmetric Moscow's response will be to attacks by Kiev using NATO STEM missiles, already ongoing. There are 3 NATO STEM members which are supplying missiles with a range of 350 kilometers and more: US, UK, and France. So a symmetric response will imply Russia providing global South nations with advanced weaponry capable of causing serious damage to nodes of the empire of bases. And they are the top candidates to receive these weapons, as extensively debated not only on Russia TV channels but also in St. Petersburg Forum corridors. West Asia, Iran, which already has them, Syria badly needs them, Yemen, Iraq will be very helpful to Hajj al-Shabi and Libya. Central, Northeast, Southeast Asia, Afghanistan, Myanmar, these 2 were present in St. Petersburg and North Korea. Latin America, Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua. Just look at the current Russian foray in the Caribbean. Africa, Central African Republic, Congo, Ethiopia, Somalia, Southern Sudan, and Zimbabwe. Just look at Lavrov's recent African tour. So they will sell weapons to everybody, I guess. Mr. Silicon says hello, and that brings us to the jolly matter of a Russian naval force hanging out in the Caribbean, headed by the hypersonic missile armed frigate Admiral Gorchkov and the Kazan nuclear submarine. The indispensable Andrei Martyanov has noted how the Gorchkov carries 32 Onyx, Zircon, Calibrs, and Otvet. These are the most advanced and deadly cruise missiles in history, with a serious combat pedigree. Kazan, which is Yazen Clash SSGM, carries also 32 VLS, and in addition has 10 torpedo tubes which can shoot not just torpedoes. Well, this naval force is obviously not there to launch World War III. Martyanov explains that while both can strike all of the eastern seaboard of the US and Canada, they are there not for that reason. God forbid if it comes to real World War III, there are plenty of Bulavas, Avangard's, Sarmats, and Yarses to deal with. horrifying business. No, both Gorchkov and Kazan are the two are there to show that they can reach any combat ship or strategic sea lift vessel carrying any military combat set from North America to Europe in case of some nutjob deciding to try to survive a conventional war with Russia in 404 which is Ukraine. That's even more intriguing is that after spending time in Havana, the naval force will remain in the Caribbean for a series of exercises and will be joined by other Russian Navy vessels. They will remain in these waters until the end of the summer of living dangerously. Just in case some nutjob has fancy ideas. Meanwhile, the possible escalation towards hot war in Europe proceeds unabated, with NATO via its epileptic slab of Norwegian wood radically changing the establishment rules of proxy wars with one nonsense outburst after another. The armed forces of Ukraine, AFU, are already capable via NATO to destroy both military and civilian Russian assets, oil storage, airports, energy facilities, railway junctions, even concentration of troops. Everyone and his neighbor will be waiting for the symmetric responses. For all practical purposes, the crucial decision has been made by the rarefied plutocracy, which really runs the show. Force Europe into war on Russia. That's the rationale behind all the rhetorical.
En un poema escrito más de 1000 veces, en él repito siempre que mientras alguien buenas tardes. Siempre con la intención de amenizar, esa era la idea, amenizar el trayecto por este repertorio, la retribución, esa moneda que siempre sirve. Lo que puedan, se agradece. No olvide el artículo 4, coopere harto.
For all practical purposes, the crucial decision has been made by the rarefied plutocracy, which really runs the show, force Europe into war on Russia. That's the rationale behind all the rhetorical cabuti about the military Schengen and the new Iron Curtain. From the Arctic through the Baltic Chihuahuas all the way to rabid Poland. The plutocracy actually believes that afterwards they can buy the whole thing for pittance while flies are still laying eggs in radioactive European carcasses.